Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatham. To the brothers in the four corners, pushing the word in sincerity and truth. Today, we're going to deal with one verse from the Apocrypha. Okay? Specifically, it's going to be this verse right here. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, and verse 3. Thou shalt eat up thy leaves, and lose thy fruit, and leave thyself as a dry tree. Okay? So I want to examine what that verse means. And I can pull it up on the screen as well, but I want to examine what the verse means. Okay? So let's pull it up on the screen. Sirach chapter 6 and verse 3. One more time. Thou shalt eat up thy leaves, and lose thy fruit, and leave thyself as a dry tree. Let's read verse 2 to get the context. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone. So when we're dealing with extolling ourselves in our own heart, we're talking about lifting yourself up too high. Okay? Becoming pompous, not being humble, thinking of yourself highly, higher than you ought to think, as the book of Paul, or as Paul writes in his books. Any man who thinks that he knows something knoweth not as he ought. Okay? So let's look at what happens. Thou shalt eat up thy leaves and lose thy fruit, and leave thyself as a dry tree. So if you're not familiar with the concept of trees in the Bible, okay, then it's going to be kind of a deep parable to break down. But once you understand it, it's not too deep. So this is the man who delights in the law of the Lord, okay, according to verse 2, right? He delights in the law of the Lord. In his law does he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by rivers of water, right? Now, what's the example of a tree that is planted by rivers of water? It flourishes. It has plenty of water. It has plenty of nutrients. We're going to assume that it has plenty of sunlight, okay? So if you plant it by the rivers of water and you bring forth your fruit in the season, and your leaf do not wither, and whatsoever you do shall prosper. That's the point of that verse. Whatsoever you do shall prosper. Okay? And so your leaf ain't gonna wither, man. Your fruit, you're gonna bear much fruit for the Most High in Hamashiach Yahushua. Because you moving in the spirit, you where you supposed to be at, you getting your nutrients from the right place, you getting your water from the right place. You're gonna bear much fruit for Hamashiach Yahushua. Now, let's continue in that same thought pattern. Jeremiah 17 and 8. This is my go-to precept for understanding this. 17 and 8. Okay. Blessed is the man who trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. Right? So, the man who trusteth in the Lord, he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. So it's another verse that tells you the exact same thing, okay? So trees, fruit, and leaves in the Bible represent people, their spiritual health, you know what I'm saying? And their ability to produce fruit by Hashem HaMashiach Yahushua. Okay? So now that we've explored that, let's go to Isaiah chapter 1. Because, of course, there's a flip side to this, right? We're going to start at verse 28. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together. So right now we're talking about transgressors and sinners. And they that forsake the Lord shall be consumed. So Now we dealing with the people who stepped away from the Most High, right? They not meditating in his word day and night. You understand? They do not delight in the law of the Lord. They do not trust the Lord, as Jeremiah just told us to do. Okay? These are some other people right here. Let's jump down to verse 30. For ye shall be as an oak whose leaf fadeth, and as a garden that has no water. Okay? So I want to demonstrate what Sirach is teaching you here. Sirach chapter 6 and verse 3 says, thou shalt eat up thy leaves and lose thy fruit and leave thyself as a dry tree. You're going to cease to produce that fruit for the Most High. And why is this? Because you've become proud. And being proud sets you against the Most High. And when you get set against the Most High, he takes his spirit from you. And when he takes his spirit from you, you can no longer wrought any good works. That's how it goes. So a proud man, a man with the spirit of pride, is against the Most High, and he maketh himself a dry tree. That's what Sirach is teaching. Okay? Ezekiel 17 and 24, just to beat it home. One last precept, just to beat it home. And this really is for Israel. This lesson right here is not so much for the Christians. They're ignorant. You know, they don't know what's going on. But for Israel, who knows what's going on, who got the precepts, who doing the breakdowns, we the ones who are really in danger of pride. Okay? Let's look. Ezekiel 17 and 24. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree, and have made the dry tree to flourish. I, the Lord, have spoken and done it. So this is from a different context, but it works because the Most High is the one who puts the spirit on you to become a green tree and bring forth much fruit. But he's also the one to set his face against you and destroy you if you become proud and you become a high tree. So seek not to be a high tree, Israel. Seek not to be the top brother in all of Israel. Seek only to be a servant to your brothers, and first and foremost to Hamashiach Yahushua, why Yahweh, and you will do well. That's all I got. Shalom.